Hello, people, young, old, ageless. My name is Jordan Lewis. I will be your guide. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the ReEvolve Media Revolution Podcast, featuring Lady Saint. You know what sucks? Like mega, ultra, super, mega again sucks? Addiction. Matter of fact, any habit that you want to change that you can't seem to make happen yesterday, it sucks. If you don't understand the plight, try this. Go into your phone, find your top 3 most used apps, and move them. Be careful because this might trigger you. By the third day, I got so angry at the minor inconvenience of not being able to autopilot my brain into opening these apps that I switched them back to their original spots. I relapsed. I said, fuck it. Change is hard, especially when it's related to something that you associate with pleasure. If I'd left the apps in their newly organized spots, I might have acclimated in a few more days. Unfortunately, we'll never know. The same thing has happened with myself and alcohol. I would love to say that at this point I've been 5 months sober, but that would be a lie. I've consumed thrice in that time period. But I would like to say that 4 years from now, I never touched the stuff again. And I'm not trying to preach and say that it's bad and that I think everybody should quit. I'm just trying to draw attention to the fact that I had no idea I was addicted. The signs were there, but as far as I was concerned, everybody else was doing it, and I wasn't even half as bad. Most nights anyways. Still, my voice in the matter is muted compared to that of Lady Saint. After all, she's my inspiration behind it. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Michaela. She goes by Lady Saint. How you doing, Lady Saint?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So, on my notes here, I've got that you were raised in Fort McMurray. Is that also where you were born?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Fort Mac.
Okay, and you're still residing in your home province of Alberta, currently in Edmonton. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what was your transition from Fort Mac to Edmonton? What inspired that, or what made that happen?
Honestly, I love my hometown. Like, I love the people in it. But I knew that if I wanted to kind of reach beyond the Fort Mac boundaries, I needed to expand my views and my perspectives and connections pretty much. So it was actually kind of hard for me to leave. It was like, if I don't leave right now, like, I don't know when the next time I'm going to be going. So
Also, it was an opportunity.
yeah, it was more like a good change kind of thing, more of like a better transition for the path I wanted to take.
Okay, and when did that happen?
Last year, about this time, in June, actually, I think.
Ooh, that is very recent.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy. So it was the main reason behind the purpose of your move was to kind of expand your boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I had a decent job out in the oil fields and all that, but it just wasn't it wasn't for me. I'm super grateful for the opportunities and stuff, but it wasn't like, I knew if I stayed there, that's where I'm gonna be planted, kind of thing.
That's fair, and I think that's a common conception for the rest of us Albertans here, that Fort Mac that's kind of what it's. I honestly thought that's what it was only about. I didn't know artists were budding out of there up until and planning. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I didn't know that it had that extent to be able to kind of cater to your artistry up until just last year, at which point you wanted to kind of branch out.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Like, the artist community is pretty small. It's growing. I found in the past year while I'm gone, pretty much it's been expanding. But yeah, it's. I would say if any artist out of Fort Mac wanted to grow or extend their career, I guess, and follow their dreams, I would say kind of branch out if you felt like you needed to.
That's great. And so does Edmonton feel like the place to do that branching out, or is it kind of maybe a stepping stone on the way to something even more branched out?
I feel like Edmonton, I love Edmonton actually, but I feel like it might be my transition, possibly.
Okay, I see. So it is kind of just like that first step out of Fort McMurray, and then who knows what's happening next, or do you have a plan thought out for that?
Kind of like, who knows, but I would love to move to Vancouver, I
I
think.
see.
Hmm.
All right. Most artists, when they kind of think of that move to especially Canadian-based focus, like where the culture is focused on hip hop, they either think Vancouver or Toronto. So very interesting to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
So something super dope about yourself that I found really interesting was that of the 23 roughly artists that I was in communication for with these interviews, you're the only one who had a manager review the agreement and actually contact me with questions. I was caught off guard by that.
Really?
I was impressed. Yeah, super unique. Because, like I said, with 23 different artists, all with varying following, all with varying range, literally the only one. So I actually kind of want to dig into that a little bit. How'd you get your management team?
Jay Black, actually, shout out Jay. He's honestly the best. He's like family to me. He really helps me kind of almost transition into that professional side, because really, like any artist, if you're not kind of growing up around it, you kind of learn things on your own, right? So he helps me a lot. But I actually met him moving to Edmonton, and then we connected a couple months after I moved here. But he's been watching me prior to me moving to Edmonton, so we kind of linked up. It just worked.
That's dope. And so, was he in the management game prior to that, or did he pick it up with you?
He pretty much picked it up with me, but also dabbled in a couple things prior. He's a producer as well, so he has a good ear for the music industry.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I was really impressed with not only the response, because it just seemed like he genuinely cared about you and your art, but also just like you personally, but then you as a business.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
really eye opening. Super super cool. How do you feel about being one of the just with what I said, being one of the few people with that management having your back?
I feel really blessed actually to be able to have, like, my circle is really small. I keep it really small, and to be able to have certain people in different positions that pretty much, if I was standing in the middle, they would all kind of have their backs turned into me, watching out, as if, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I picture it like. And
I do. I know
everyone,
what you mean.
yeah, yeah, everyone that kind of is in my corner is like there specifically for a reason, and we all have the same vision. So it's really cool.
That's really, really cool. And then I'm assuming that you, maybe you've talked about this specifically with them before, but I'm assuming that you kind of have it, that they have that same vision in their head, that you're in their corner, and it's just reciprocated.
Yeah, with anything, I always go off vibe first, because if the vibe is off, you can tell, like, okay, we're not on the same page. So
For sure.
if the vibe and the energy is the same, then you kind of move to the next step, and if it just works, like, why not, right?
I feel you. I feel you on that. I got to mention also that your website is super, super tight.
Thanks.
Do you want to tell me when that started? When did you launch your website, and how did you get it so kind of, it's very clean?
A couple months ago, I switched it into a different theme, different color, different style to match kind of what my music and my personality and all that is kind of about. So my partner actually helped me do it. Like, I really kind of suck with doing all the website stuff, and she just helps me kind of get that on track. And she's like, "Yeah, don't worry, I got it." Like, so it's pretty cool.
That's incredible. That's so awesome. With quite a few of the artists that I've interviewed, it seems that they kind of came to an understanding of who they were kind of in the middle of their music career. And I know that definitely shows throughout your music, that your more current releases are definitely you more solidified in your identity. It just seemed to me like from listening to your earlier stuff, and I don't know if 2015 is the right year for your track New New. I found it on Spotify.
Yeah, it was like, did you listen to that song?
I did. I did.
Oh man, I cringe at my old stuff. But yeah,
What?
I cannot stand, like, some people will tag in like my new wave project and stuff, and they'll tag me in
Yeah.
it, and I'm like, bro, like, why?
Nah, that's so funny. Cringe is the word, though.
Yeah, it's cringe for sure. Actually, I've never performed ever. Like, this is the first time I've never performed. I dropped New like November or December or something like that, and then I went to New York in January,
Yeah.
and took part in a showcase in New York. And I've never performed. I don't know how I got this really brilliant idea to go, and super unexperienced. And yeah, it was a different experience, but I've learned from it. So I almost want to go back and be like, because I performed New, and I was like, oh man, I just
Uh-huh.
cringe, man. I cannot stand
Yeah.
it.
That's too funny. So in your mind, it's like people who see your name like today, or ever see your name that saw you back then, or might have that as a point of reference.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, come on, guys, stream this new stuff, so we'll just bump the old stuff right to the bottom.
That's so funny. In reference to your lyrics, though, it does seem like you kind of were confident in who you were super early. I guess like obviously maybe it's more the delivery you're referring to that was cringeworthy, or what? I didn't see it. I never cringed. I gotta say that. But that being said, I
Oh
got to
man.
experience a lot of your music. So
But even the sound of my voice from New New to like Sail, it's so different. And as soon as it, like, I don't even have it in my library. Like, I unliked all of my old stuff.
that's so funny.
Yeah, I just, I know like my flow is different, my voice is different. Cause I feel like coming out as a female rap artist, especially, I all my friends that were artists in Fort Mac, all the hip hop artists were super hard, and I was like, "Oh, is that how they do it? Like, is this how you do it?" So, when I came out, it was super like more aggressive kind of thing,
Yeah,
and
you're
I
kind of
just
trying to match the
tried.
style.
Yeah, and then after I was like, "What the hell am I doing? Like, this is not like I've been through some shit, but it's not like it's not it's not what I want to be delivering out. That's not what I feel anymore.
I feel you there. It's not. It wasn't really genuine, I guess.
Yeah, and I was a completely different person. Like half of my music career, I was pretty much an alcoholic, and then the other half, I've been sober. So it's like a complete different spectrum feel.
Ooh, can I have
Hmm.
that point? That point at which your music transitions from that, like the
Um,
year, I guess. Even
the
I'm
year
just out of
would
my own
be
curiosity.
honestly, well, this coming September will be my 4 years sober. So I
Wow.
mean, only maybe 2 years into my music, maybe a year and a half, then I kind of transitioned. But yeah, it was like you have to be sober or you're going to rehab for a bit. And I was like, what? I have to be without my phone for that long? Like, no thanks. So
Yo,
yeah.
that's beautiful. And that's an awesome story. I'll definitely want to elaborate on that more as we get into this. But let's jump into your in 2016. I don't know if you made any efforts to remove this, but I can only find this on your SoundCloud. But Brainstorm, your 11-track project there. You're laughing, and I. So what's going on in
Yeah,
your head right now?
man, like I said, like I don't know, I've been through some shit. Okay, so it's just like all different journeys. I mean, okay, I had to start somewhere. I really love the experiences I've been through my music, so I'll say that for sure. It's just like my voice and like my flow. I don't even remember half the songs that were on that one, to be honest. uh,
That's totally fair. Your message stays pretty consistent, and your lyricism stays pretty well, though.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I'll look back and I'll listen to if I decide to go through that album or whatever, I'll just click a song and I'm kind of like, dang, like, my flow is kind of good. Like my lyrics are kind of tight and but then, my voice and all that stuff. But it's crazy the inspiration that comes from stuff or your experiences around you or whatever. And I'm not like, oh, I'm a crazy lyricist. Like I'm not saying like that, but I mean like it was just it's crazy to look back on, listen, and be like, wow, I actually wrote that because I look to other artists that I listen to their lyrics. I find lyrics are really important to me. So when I listen to other artists and their lyrics, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I'm like, I wonder if people think that about mine too, you know?
Oh, for real, for real. And then, like you said, you go back and listen to it, and you feel that way about your own lyrics every now and then.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes,
Not
fair.
often.
Honestly, because obviously I was more attuned to your newer stuff before I started doing a little bit of research on you. But then I listened to your Project Brainstorm, your track "This Is My
Mm.
Story." I felt as though that this track just needs to be like the first track anybody listens to of you. I don't know if that's your opinion as well, but I just found it incredibly revealing of the depth of even
Mm.
your initial steps into the game, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, it was yeah, like I was really vulnerable. I mean, I'm still really vulnerable, but that was like I don't know, that's just kind of what I felt at the time that I needed to share. You know what I mean?
I do, and I find that you've definitely kind of articulated it in this track as best as you could back then, and then through your music as it's come to now, you've articulated kind of the same themes, but with more of an artistic perspective.
Yeah, I'm more aware of really what I put out now. Instead of I still act on instinct with writing, but I'll chop it up more and be like, okay, no, I don't want that in there or whatever.
For sure. All right. In the track explicitly, you also mentioned something happening on September 17th, where God took away your pain. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so pretty much that's when I was like, that's the day I decided, okay, I'm going to be sober, and pretty much changed my lifestyle around. I went on to like this spiritual journey and really embraced all the good around me, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just decided to pretty much just follow the feeling, really, to be honest.
What inspired that change?
Um, I think to transition from the life I was living, and like I was super full of anger. Like I'm never angry now. So my whole life I've been like hella angry, like fights, throwing stuff. Like I couldn't control it. That's why I would go to drinking, and then, I would pretty much drink my life away. So I think the transition of like, okay, every new step, I feel better about myself. I feel better. I'm growing. My music's changing. You know what I mean? Like it just kept getting better. So I just kept kind of following the steps, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that. And then bringing that into today, the just being sober for 4 years,
Hmm.
how does that impact how the world around you influences you? I guess because we're in a world where being sober is just the not the popular opinion at all. So I just want to
Yeah.
understand how that relates to you in your daily life, because I know you're saying you already have a smaller circle, and I'm sure they have some of the same values, but I'm sure there's issues otherwise. So I'm just curious on that.
Yeah, like when I first decided to pretty much change my life around, and I still had shows in bars and, clubs and all that stuff. And I remember my first show, I think I was sober. I started my journey in September, and my next show was in November, and it was my first time stepping into a bar. And I was like, man, like this is kind of tough. I didn't actually know how it was going to go.
Ooh,
So
yeah, for real.
yeah, so I had water in my hand like the whole time, like because I had some really like I went through withdrawals like really, really bad. So I was like, man, I'm kind of nervous. Like I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know how the show's gonna go. This is my first time doing it sober. So like it kind of changed everything. And then I just really kept pushing myself, and I'm really competitive with myself. So the way I think about it is if I get tempted, I'll just think like, if I have to start over, how pissed am I going to be at myself? You know what I mean? Like I had such a good streak. Why would I just give it up for a temporary feel?
Yeah, I think I do know what you mean, and I maybe a word to describe it. If you extrapolate on the word, but the word relapse
Hmm.
kind of comes to mind there, in a
Yeah.
sense where it's not like it is kind of almost back to stage zero. I don't know if you agree with me there.
I think, yeah, if that were to happen to me, I would 100% be like, cool, all that work for nothing. You're dumb, and I got to start over? And then,
Yeah,
but
I
then,
feel you,
even then, it'd be like, well, then why would I want to start over? Honestly?
because you're just gonna 4 years down the line perhaps fuck it all up again.
Exactly. So it's like why would I even do that if again, is it like a temporary fix for a more like a permanent like unfulfillment kind of thing?
What do you mean by that?
Like if I decided like, okay, tomorrow, I have a temptation and I just give in,
Yeah.
like if I think to myself, okay, if I just give in, that's just only going to work for a little bit, and then I'm going to need it again. I'm going to need it again. So I'm going
I
to always
see
be
what you're
on this
saying.
like broken path of trying to feel that
Yeah, yeah.
I'm super competitive with myself. So it'd be like, you're an idiot and you got to start over, and that sucks for you.
Brilliant. So in a sense, you kind of have your own back in that mentality.
Yeah, I have a good control of my mind, so that is something I had to work up to and kind of learn and adjust and adapt around the environment around me. But even now, like I don't care talking about it. It doesn't bother me. I can be around drinking, it doesn't bother me. Like, some people, they'll be like, "Oh, you're sober," and then be like, "Oh, is it okay if we're?" And I'm like, it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
at all. Like, and the music scene doesn't bother me. I really have no issue with fully being myself now. As before, I didn't really want to talk about it as much, or I didn't want to really let people know, because like you said, it's not really common that you hear like a hip hop artist, especially now, that's like sober, and you're like, well, then what are you going to rap about?
That's the
Yeah.
truth. But then you got tons of content. That's why I thought it was like maybe a year or two that you made this transition, and that some of your music was inspired by that previous stage in your life. But this is
Mm,
all kind of this is you as a sober
yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so again, going back to your kind of 2016 days when you're first starting out on this path, I know. I don't know if you expected this or not, but you talked a lot about kind of, I guess, issues of the past, or just like kind of shit that you've been through. One of the main ones that I picked up on was both your mom's experience going through cancer, and obviously that's an experience for you as well. So I wanted to hear about kind of the ins and out of that, not in like incredible detail, but just so people can kind of get an understanding of your pain through that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty much, we've always had stuff going on, like with my mom's health and with my stepmom's health. It was just kind of random. So, a couple years ago, I guess back 2015, 16, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she also got diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. And at the same time, my stepmom got diagnosed with leukemia. So it's just kind of like, really, like, you know what I mean? It was just like heavy, heavy, heavy all the time. So
Yeah, you think the worst thing has happened, and then here's something else.
yeah, it's like, cool, what else? Like, I'm ready for it now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like my mom's health started to decline. My stepmom started to decline, and she actually ended up passing 3 years ago as of
I'm
May.
so
So
sorry.
that was like super hard for me, but it was like, I wouldn't take it back, because I've honestly, what I write about now and how it helps me because I've experienced it. Because I don't write about anything that I haven't experienced, right? I don't talk about like all these mansions and everything, because
Yeah,
I don't have one. So
it's
I
all
just
real. Yeah.
exactly. So I try to keep my content as organic and original and me as I can. So during all of this time, I used my music as that outlet, because if not, I would probably go back to drinking. So it's like, yeah, it was just super heavy. So my stepmom passed, my mom went through breast cancer, then my mom got a liver transplant, and we almost lost her here actually in Edmonton. And then she's been recovering. She went into remission. And then just last year in October, we found out that she was going for her normal liver checks, and they found a spot on her liver. And then, long story short, they found out that her breast cancer actually came back and went metastatic and spread everywhere through her body. So currently, she has stage 4 incurable breast cancer, or cancer, I guess, that just spread everywhere, like her head, her bones, everything like that.
That is so wild and unfortunate. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's honestly, it's like, it's been an emotional journey, but I just feel like super connected and blessed that I'm able to have this outlet, as, or like a good, like I said, my close circle that I have to just like vent, or just like cry or talk about it or whatever, just to get it out.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm astonished that you've gone through all this with the difficulty of staying sober.
Yeah, it's not
You know what I
easy.
mean?
That's for sure.
Because a lot of people cope with that pain, because this has all happened to you simultaneously. If this was 2015, right, or 2016 when you
Yeah.
first said it, yeah, that's oof. Well, yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
and it's exemplified through your music, man. I honestly can attest to, especially in your latest track, which we will get to by the end of this podcast. But and I'll rave about that a little bit more. But let's go on to
Yeah.
your last track in Brainstorm, or sorry, one of the later tracks in Brainstorm, Isaiah 65:17.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
would you consider yourself a religious woman?
I wouldn't say religious, no. I would say, because I grew up in a like a Pentecostal home on my dad's side, and then my mom's side was Catholic, but we never really did anything Catholic. Just like kind of whatever was in school. Like you go to church or mass or whatever, and you do whatever they tell you, pretty much. And then,
Yeah, yeah. You
so
fulfill your obligations.
exactly. So I was kind of not against it, but I wasn't really with it growing up after like maybe the age of 13, we'll say, because I was so tired of everyone being like, you have to do this, have to do this, have to do this. And I was like, but why? Like, if I don't do it, like, does that make me a bad person? So
Yeah.
like I pretty much, as I was transitioning into being sober, I started like my spiritual journey. But no, I think I'm more of like, I build my own relationship with, like my God I believe in, but some people believe in their own.
Oh,
Like, that's, you know what I mean? So
I
I
do. I
don't,
do.
yeah. So like, I feel like religion and relationship gets mixed up a lot. They almost get paired into one, but religion really says, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Relationship is just you, yourself, building your own relationship. You know what I mean? Going through your own stuff. You're kind of like, you have that your
it's
own
your connection with the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
That's
it really
beautiful.
actually helped me transition into a different perspective, because I used to be like really negative and honestly like absorbed in just all these negative things, or like pretty much like the evils of this world kind of thing. Like I would get super absorbed in it, and it would really mess me up. And I would, like, my daily routine, that's what my mindset would be, like negative, you know? So once I kind of started being sober, switched everything, my perspective changed. It just kind of followed.
Interesting. And so do you think that here, maybe actually we'll do this. I'll just read Isaiah 65:17, and then I just want you to respond. You're actually, what you've just told me is kind of response to that, but I just want to hear your immediate response once I read it to you, just so we can find out. Obviously, we know what it meant to you back then. I want to find out what it means to you today. So Isaiah 65:17. See, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. What does that mean to you?
To me, that means pretty much there's going to be this new, almost perfect world that all of this destruction and stuff won't be there. All of your past stuff you won't even think about it. All, like, the things you've been through, all the negative stuff you've been through, it won't even like come to your mind at all.
So when you put out this track, was that kind of like a new thought and theory you were dabbling into, or?
Yeah, I was almost, I would say, one of the peaks in my spiritual journey, because I find I kind of like phase in and phase out really with everything in my life. Like it kind of sucks, but it.
Oh no, I feel you.
You know, like you're like, oh, it's like a job. Like you love your job your first month or two, and then you're like, oh man, I'm kind of tired of it. And then you go back like, oh, it's actually not bad. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find I really phase in and out. It's like I kind of like kick myself for it sometimes, because I want to be at that steady, you know, confidence level of knowing more in depth about myself as well. But I feel like I go on this like up and down phase. Same thing with the spiritual journey. I find I go up and down a lot. And I mean, we're all human. Like it's normal. Like it's natural. It's a part of growing and learning about yourself and your journey. So I just kind of get in my head sometimes about it.
That's fair. But do you find that as time goes on and you kind of jump into old habits or old thought processes, that they stick around for a shorter amount of time, or you bounce back to what you're trying to be a little bit quicker?
Yeah, like I feel like the way I think about it is as if like you're putting on a shoe and then your shoe's not fully on. So sometimes like, I don't know if that even makes sense, but
no, roll with it. I feel it.
So it's kind of like, that's so funny actually, but
you're painting a picture. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm like all about metaphors and stuff too, man. Like,
yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. So it's kind of almost like, I actually don't think that shoe metaphor was actually relatable. But
I'm trying to play with it in my head, and I can see how it can. I think we'd have to have a longer discussion on it.
Yeah, I think like. Sorry, wait. What was the question?
It was. You know what? Actually, maybe we'll elaborate on that a little later, just because we did go into overtime for our first half.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pause the recording right here.
Okay.
We're going to listen to Lady Saint's track titled Sail.
I feel it in my soul when it's time to go, when the kick rocks, or when it's time to show up to show off, give love with no cost. I feel it in my legs before I'm about to break, before my heart sinks and everything's at stake. Show up to show off, collect what you lost. I want a candlelight on the beach, reflecting on the memories, remedies for you and me, love for my enemies, love for my enemies. I wanna take a little ride on the sea, reflecting on just you and me, meditate on the beach, feel the sun on my feet, feel the sun on my feet. Sail across the way, riding all the waves, Let the light shine on me. Let your light shine on me. Sail across the way, riding all the waves. Let the light shine on me. Let your light shine on me.
Feel the water flow deep down in your soul. It's the life in me. Sun on the sea, deep too deep. We sail away to another place. We're on our way, catching the breeze in the sails, seeing the whales, beach and the shells whilst I'm leaving this world. Cause I like to fly sometimes, I like to be the vibrant kind.
Sail across the way, riding all the waves. Let the light shine on me. Let your light shine on me. Know it can get rocky when the tide rolls in. No, you cannot stop me with the salt on my skin. Sail away, smile above my chin. Lower the anchor cause we're coming in. Sailing north up towards the light. Waiting in the water never felt so right. Wandering the sea looking for paradise. When the time comes, then we'll be alright.
Know it can get choppy when the boat starts rocking, but I'm thankful for the captain who has got in, stopping all the storms. Come like peace, be still. See the waters calm and we start to seek his will. Such a thrill whilst they're down here, sailing the deep blue. It's all clear now, the water is see-through. Come along cause I'm hoping you'll see too. Cause the scene that you're seeing's just a preview.
Sail across the way, riding all the waves. Let the light shine on me. Let your light shine on me. Sail across the way, riding all the waves. Let the light shine on me. Let your light shine on me.
How's it going, everybody? I'm back with Lady Saint. Lady Saint, how do you feel?
I feel good, man. I feel good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Again, thank you for being here. Appreciate your time so much. So before we were talking about your project Brainstorm, that is one of the first ones you released, right? Or the first one?
Yeah, like album, yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Then let's go on to on Spotify. You released in 2016 as well, Project New Wave. I'm gonna let you elaborate on that. Honestly, I'm sensing that you might have the word cringe in mind, but is that a thing?
Yeah,
I don't agree at all, especially because the last track on it, Namaste, is one of your more popular tracks.
I know, people stop streaming that. Like, what are you doing?
Wait, what's your give me the skinny on New Wave. Give me the deets.
Honestly, I'll try to remember. I just kind of blocked that out of my mind, but
okay, let's just talk about Namaste then, because I'm sure I think it's funny you're asking people to stop streaming it, but I guarantee you it's just gonna get more streams now.
I know, I just checked my number this morning and I was like, seriously? Like, it's like my highest Shazam track. Like, people are trying to Shazam this track out of any other track. Yeah, I don't get it.
How do you find that information out? I've never really heard of people referencing how often they're searched for on Shazam, sorry.
On like one of your music artist apps, like a Spotify app, it gives you the more in-depth, like countries, cities, your top kind of tracks, you know, what track was listened to the most, Shazam the most, kind of thing.
Oh, it actually gives those details. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. That's good to know. Okay, then maybe I'll talk a little bit about Namaste. It'll just be a brief touch. Because to me, the track is, and maybe this is kind of like part of you that, maybe this is part of the reason you don't want to talk about it, but it's making peace with your trials and tribulations of previous times and kind of literally leaving them in the past, artistically, I guess, not literally, sorry.
Yeah, actually, I didn't mind the vibe. Like, I really liked the vibe at this point of me in, I guess, in writing music and learning what I really like. I started to like more of that chill, like lo-fi kind of sound, and I didn't really have that before. So I guess this is me just kind of learning lyrically and spiritually and kind of the sounds and instruments and all the beats and instrumentals that I like, kind of thing.
That's sweet, and people are really into it. That's so funny. And then in 2017, you released a track called Colorful and a project called Road Trip,
Yeah.
a mixtape, I guess. Do you want to talk about those ones? How do you feel about those ones? Actually, are they part of the stuff you want to leave behind?
Yeah, they are. they're they're pretty much
I
like.
love that all your stuff is still out there, though. Like, it's still accessible, because a lot of other people actually just remove it from being available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at the time, releasing, I think, Road Trip and Below, I think is, I was working with a company out of LA, and, we had this agreement, streaming and the business side of stuff. So I don't really want to dabble back into and get into it. And like, I don't want any
That's
bad
fair.
blood, you know what I mean? So I just
Yeah.
like dealing with it, just whatever.
I see what it is. So you kind of spit your case, and then you leave it where it is, and then you've said what you've said, and you'll say it again if need be, but you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, pretty much like after, I think it was Road Trip. I think that might have been the one, because I was recording everything at home. Like all of my tracks, I was just learning as I went to record it myself, and I had one guy in New York, which I still work with, Mike Mikowski. And he's worked with huge names. And I met him off a site called Sound Better. And we just worked together ever since. He's literally, up until today, is the one of the only engineers that's really ever touched all of my music. I've only worked with like maybe one or two other engineers.
That's incredible. Like
Circle
you said,
small,
circle
you see?
small.
Yeah.
Circle small and fucking tight. That's dope.
Mhm.
And then moving on into 2018, you did a couple of video releases, actually.
Yeah, I think was it Fly and Changes, I think? Was that 2018?
Exactly, that's 2018.
Yeah.
One of them, Fly, shot and edited by Cataclysm Productions and Where the Highway Ends, and then the other one, Changes, directed and edited by Wood Buffalo Media Group. How do you get in touch with groups like this, or involved with groups like this, such that they help you create music videos?
Fort Mac is really good for connections, honestly. Like everyone knows someone who knows, your parents or something. Like it's just so crazy, because the connections I've made are seriously like so strategic, but I don't even realize it until after it's done.
Yeah, and then the final product's out there, and you're like, holy crap, a lot went into knowing these people who put this together.
Exactly. Like the Wood Buffalo Media Group, the owner and founder, Trevor Butler, he actually was part of the Cataclysm Productions, that one. So I already had that connection with him. But we just wanted, we both, again, had that vision to make good content. We wanted it out. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. And then you had another track during that year called Sunflower released.
Yeah,
this wasn't a big year for
that.
releases for you, though, but otherwise. But yeah,
No.
Let's talk about Sunflower.
Yeah, I guess. Remember the whole phase thing? I guess it's kind of like that. Like I was releasing a whole bunch of music, then I wasn't. Then,
Yeah.
But Sunflower, people honestly will send me sunflowers randomly all the time. Anytime there's a sunflower in like a photo or, just in their backyard or anything, they'll just send it to me because I wrote this song. Like, it's just crazy.
Interesting.
It kind of like is part of my brand now.
Wow. Do you want to elaborate on why that is and why people have taken this stance to send you sunflowers?
I have no idea, to be honest.
It's just the relation to the song?
Yeah, I guess the relation to the song, I find sunflowers really calming, and I think they're beautiful. They're my favorite flowers. So it's just like, I just kind of decided this song reminds me of like a sunflower. Like that's the kind of vibe I got from it. So I decided to call it Sunflower. And then now everyone always just sends me sunflowers all the time. So I decided to put that on merch and stuff. And like my mom just bought the phone case with the sunflower on the back. And I was like, you're so gangster. Like, she's
That's
just so
amazing.
funny. Yeah, it's really cool.
It just kind of organically out of your control became part of your brand, even though it kind of was, it seems meant to be since it was your favorite flower.
Yeah, and it wasn't meant to be part of a brand at all, like honestly, but it just kind of happened. People really liked it. They now associate sunflowers and myself together. So it's like, it's kind of cool actually.
With Lady Saint. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And then after that, I can't really call it a lull because you did put out 2 music videos, which a lot of people haven't even got to that point yet. But and then you released a track that kind of identifies with your brand to this day. It's just a lull in, I guess, the amount of creation. But then in 2019, you create Lady Saint series, or you released episode 1, shot by Matt Piercy.
Yeah, Matt's such a good guy. He's I met him in Fort Mac, and then I ended up moving, so it was kind of like we didn't really get to continue the series. Yeah,
so it's discontinued.
Yeah, I mean we want to work together, and then we had some plans to work earlier this year, but then COVID hit, and we're like, oh man, like he was legit. We were planning to get him to Edmonton and just like shoot a whole bunch of stuff, and then yeah, that's kind of what happened.
So do you think it's who knows when episode 2 will drop, or is it just kind of like don't expect it ever?
I would like to do an episode 2, episode 3 kind of thing, like continue with it, or even have like a different perspective, maybe a different turn on it. You know what I mean?
See what you're saying. Yeah. Let it change, I guess, based on how it needs to be presented post-COVID.
Yeah. Shout out Matt. He honestly is like, he's so good to work with, and his art is just, it's like perfection. It's really dope.
That's dope. And so in that video, you are kind of, the meat of the video is a performance that you're doing, and then you drop the name Keanu as well. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was actually asked to write and perform an original song for the Alberta Winter Games, 2018. I'm pretty sure it was. So, and that was like Alberta Winter Games are like, they're pretty huge. So,
how'd you get invited?
Again, connections in Fort Mac, I guess.
That. Okay. All right.
So I got asked, we did up, the contract, everything was signed. And then this was my first time kind of working with, I pretty much did a collab with the Generation Dance Studio, and Kim Hurley, people know her by Miss Kim. She owns the studio, and she choreographed my song with her dancers and incorporated me into it. So we kind of like, I was doing a bit of choreography with them, and we performed it on stage, and it was original song. It was playing all throughout the games, like the week or whatever. Like it was crazy. There was so many people there. It was like 4,000 people there or something like that.
That is so wild. Is that your largest performance then?
Yeah, I think that was my largest one. And I was just so calm. Like I was surprised because I thought I'd be so nervous, but it was amazing. Also like minus 40, minus 45, whatever. We performed outside. Like I had to go outside the very last second because they wanted to save my voice from cracking and stuff from the cold. So we pretty much went outside when it was my turn to perform. We went on, it was on, I think it was CBC or something like that, or Global. I think it was on Global. Yeah, so it was on TV and stuff, so that was really dope. That was really good exposure. So again, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if I didn't live in Fort Mac and make the connections that I did.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I didn't know the extent to which that was about. That's incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And in the series, you also mentioned that you don't sleep before shows.
Yeah, sometimes I get in my head, like I just get so nervous, and I'm just super organized. I need everything to be organized, but I really don't sleep. And before that practice, in the video, I just came off night shift. So I got off night shift of working 12, 13 hour, and then went straight so I was like buzzing hard.
I feel you. And so is there anything that you can relate, that like inability to sleep prior to a show, like that's similar otherwise in your life that maybe other people would relate to? Because the only thing that comes to my head is like a kid before Christmas, like you can't sleep that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just get excited, to be honest. Like I love the live connection and interaction with people. I love sharing new music. So
you just
I
want
think
it to be now.
Yeah, like I just like, let's go, like right now, or like, what do I wear? Or, because I find, especially as a female, in the industry, it's more like I know what they want you to wear, but that's not always what I want to wear. So, you know what I mean? So I just kind of go in my head like, okay, plan it out. I just want to be ready in my mind. I'm like organized, man. If my mind was a shelf, you could see it. It would be like organized like crazy.
Yeah, that's so dope. I love that. And then in 2019, you also didn't put out a ton of content, but you did put out a lyric breakdown video. What got you into doing that?
The YouTube channel Genius.
I do.
They
Yeah.
kind
Oh,
of
sorry.
they kind of break down the
Just to
lyrics.
mention the track. The track is titled "Injection," just for the crowd
Yeah,
there.
I love that track actually. That's like one of my favorites to listen to of myself.
Oh yeah, it's dope.
Um,
It's dope.
it's yeah, me and Matt kind of talked about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I can do that for you." So we pretty much recorded it, and we filmed it, and he just added the lyrics in.
Sweet. Okay. So pretty straightforward. Not too
Hmm.
complex, but actually like a really really great product at the end of the day.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I picked up that it's kind of like you're pointing out the things that kill your vibe or your momentum with music,
Yeah,
and kind of relating it to two things. You bring up two contrasts, like the pain of missing someone, so the sad part about it, and then
hmm
and then this next part, which is still sad, but the pain of having to cut people off, or I guess the people who like confuse you or like kind of dance around things, aren't
yeah,
kind of with your vibe, you know?
yeah. It's pretty much just I had to cut my circle small, and it's not like I don't talk to those people that are kind of on the outside of the circle, but I have a very small circle that I share my music stuff with, and ideas, and like a couple people that I really take in their feedback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do
Like
know what you
I
mean.
could go on a critique review and people be like, "Oh, I hate your music," or "You need this, this, and this," and in my mind, I'm like, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, give it to me. Like I'll take in the criticism, but I won't change my perspective or my way of doing stuff just because you don't like it. You know?
Ooh, I hear you. I hear you. Um, and then let's jump to 2020 this year. You actually put out a lot so far, and I'm just saying so far. We still have half the year to go, but you've got Area 51, 6 Foot, Apple of My Eye, Still Waiting, and Sail. The latter two, you've got two features, King Jims and Bobo. Let's start with Area 51.
Area 51. Yeah, that's such a vibe, man. I love
It's
that
such a
instrumental.
vibe.
And I just had this like weird, alien space kind of feel with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write about if I were to experience that. Like, I'm just going to write what I see, you know?
Yeah, where did the inspiration for this song come from? Was it just from the beat?
Yeah, just from the beat and then my imagination.
I picked up the focus on you picking up on like the things that we know, and then like kind of pointing out the things that we know that we don't know.
Yeah, more like the unknown.
Yeah, exactly, the unknown, because you kind of explicitly go into the future in the year 2050, whatever, and just
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know. I think your imagination went pretty crazy with that one. It was super, super dope. It really shows kind of like how you're taking the more artistic approach to your music. I don't know if it's more this year, but just like lately in your career, as opposed to the 2016 stuff we were referencing earlier.
Yeah, we don't talk about that again.
We don't talk about that. Yeah, not in the second half.
Pretty much when I met Jay, my manager, when I met Jay, like a whole bunch of inspiration came out because I had this space to speak freely. I had, we were feeding off each other's energy. Like it was just crazy. And I actually wrote the project that's going to come out next year. I recorded mostly all my songs last, I guess you could say, October, November,
Okay.
and it's done. Like I recorded all of them. I was super inspired. And then, yeah, I don't actually remember the question, but
That's cool. We'll roll with it.
Okay. Yeah, but Area 51 was like, I wanted this to be super lyrical. Like, I didn't even really plan it. It's just kind of, I get told sometimes by other artists, like, don't forget to leave room to breathe, or like leave room to just let the beat sit, which I know that, but I didn't want that for this track,
You just wanted to pump it full with that, whatever was going on in your imagination. I love it.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Let's talk about you working with other featured artists. I know you had other featured artists working with prior, but King Jims and Bobo.
Yeah. Bobo's a homie from Ontario, and I always loved his vibe. His vibe was so sick. So, and his voice is different. It's not like, you listen to hip hop music and you're like, same,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I found his message and his voice was different. So I really wanted to work with him. King Jims, I met, I'm pretty sure a couple of years ago we met, or maybe 2 years ago or something like that. And online, and I was looking for UK collabs actually. And then I just happened to chat with him, and we just kept, staying in touch and supporting each
Yeah.
other. And
Why
finally,
were you looking for collabs in the UK?
I wanted to expand my audience, and I love the UK sound. Like I love the
Okay.
grime. I love their hip hop scene there. My favorite artist who I'm like inspired by, really the only artist that really made me feel that, hey, I'm a female, I could do this too. And she's doing it, so I think I can do it, is Little Sims. And she's a UK hip hop artist out there, and she's like crazy good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to look into her after this interview. That's sweet.
Yeah, cool. And the only other collab I did, I think, was with the Gentle Yeti, and he's here from Edmonton. So we kind of mixed on the apple of my eye. So we kind of mixed. I loved his like little raspy voice going on. So I'm like, bro, like I really would love to work with you on just something similar that we can, bring our energies together and just kind of make it work.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That's so awesome. And so are you trying to collaborate a little bit more in this part of your career? I know you said you've already recorded a whole bunch of songs and stuff, but are those actually collab tracks? Or
those ones are not collabs. I have like about 6 songs that I'm ready to put out, but I'm not. Those are just me. Like that project is just me. But coming up in the future, I know I have a collab with someone coming out of Calgary at the end of this month, and then I have next month it's just me at the end of the month on August 20th. I have a track coming out, and then after that, I'm working on a couple collabs right now, but it's kind of whenever they want to release it. It has nothing to do with my end.
Oh, I see. So you're kind of the feature artist?
Yeah, I'm kind of the feature artist, branching out, trying to gravitate to other audiences and all that stuff and just building the connection. But pretty much I just said this morning, actually, as soon as 2021 hits, I don't think I'm going to do like any collabs. And if I do, it's going to be like, I really want to work with this person kind of thing.
Yeah, it's going to be like straight professional. Like you either scope them or they're paying you like $5,000 or something.
Exactly.
We are running our time here, so I just wanted to bring us to the point where you got a chance to kind of do a little sign off or say whatever you want to say, just to whatever audience is out there.
Honestly, I don't know. I would just say like much love and thanks for listening and thanks for tuning into my stuff. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and giving us all the information that I hope people are really listening to. And then we'll jump into your music and then hear even more of that vibe that you bring.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet. Okay. Thank you so much. That's Lady Saint, everybody. Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about Lady Saint and keep up a little bit, go to www.reevolvemedia.com/Lady Saint. We're going to listen to a preview of a track she'll be releasing on August 20th. It's called Paranoia. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, you can say I'm crazy, maybe a little bit insane, creating pandemics with the daisies to send us on our way, to send us with a bang, a little theory with a tang, paranoia with some slang, and angels with the fangs, and demons with the light. They say what a life, a bite is not a bite without a little bit of spite. Rapping about the government, lab-based things and they cover it like a blanket with a mask, holds everything except the suffering, try and overpower the powerful, I mean powerless where the power folds, front and center with the flowers grow, distraction as the hours flow, attraction to the adrenaline, immunity from the medicine, fly up north back to Edmonton, don't isolate, I won't settle in, it's unsettling that they benefit, scrambling and competitive, drowning, keep pedaling, even when COVID is threatening, I know my flow is different, but I'm not rapping for your interest, I'ma rap and charge you interest, cause the truth really be vintage, instant like the noodles, sunlight hit inside your pupil, our journeys can get brutal, but I'm not looking for approval,